Hello, today I want to talk about the places that I wanted to travel as a child and some of the reasons as to why I wanted to go there as a child. It's a topic that has come up a little bit in conversation lately with some friends, and just realizing and being aware of some of the significance of those places now, as you know, I'm a little older and considered, I guess, more of an adult. So, as children, we often dream about going to magical places, and they can be places that we're aware of, like on this earthly plane, or they could be, sort of what people might consider make believe places that are not necessarily within the third dimensional reality in which we reside in or on this planet. But for me as a child, around about the age of 7, I became really fascinated with the what we now know as places of Egypt and of Peru. They were two places that we learnt about at school, in the schooling, mainstream schooling, public school, we called it, schooling system in Aotearoa, otherwise known as New Zealand, at that time that I was of that age. And, maybe it was just sort of standard part of the curriculum just to learn about some of those cultures and also some of their ancient histories of those cultures. If I had learnt maybe about other ancient cultures, potentially I may have had interest in those. Although I feel there was obviously some kind of significance for me personally learning about those things. And it wasn't just an interest in the classroom, it was an interest that was outside the classroom. It obviously was seated in the classroom, and then it grew more through my own exploration of reading books. I really liked reading books at that age, especially books that showed pictures, and obviously there were words and descriptions, but the pictures of like what things may have looked like, but also the things that they had discovered and the things that are still there that are associated with the ancient, what we would consider the ancient histories of those cultures. And I loved learning about the ancient architecture and their philosophies, the stories about, of their deities, of the ways of their life, their practices, the preparation and celebration of not just life, but also death, and I loved how they built and designed like their practices and places of living and of worship and of particular purposes that they had. And it just really fascinated me. It opened, I guess, or should I say, I remembered that the way in which we live now is not the only way in which we have lived, and it's not also necessarily fits in with the storyline of we were once very primitive people when we did not have a lot of intelligence of particular ways, but seeing these kind of cultures and reading about it as a child reminded me that that's not necessarily true. There is times in which the human has explored its different intelligences and its different abilities and have excelled in certain places. And yeah, like I have actually had the opportunity to be coming up close to, at least 4 years now. So maybe close to 5. Actually, 5 years ago, I got the opportunity to go to Peru. So I felt very privileged, and I was very ecstatic that I took that opportunity and that I got to go. And I am yet to explore Egypt, and I'm also still not sure whether it is a place that I would ever go. And having these kind of, I guess, expectations of what I would experience and whether me going there would hinder those expectations, I don't know, because I know the place has changed a lot even within the last sort of 20 or so years. So yeah, but Peru is definitely a place that I really enjoy. It's a place that if I was not allowed to live in Aotearoa, New Zealand, or Amaru, known as Australia, it's a place that I would probably spend a substantial amount of time. And being on an Aotearoa passport, I can stay there for like 6 months on a tourist visa, and which is quite a substantial amount of time to be able to stay on a tourist visa before you have to actually leave a nation. Whether that may change, who knows? But yeah, and curious as to what sort of ancient cultures were you fascinated with as a child, and whether that fascination has continued on throughout your life, or you've sort of forgotten about it and then re-remembered. Have you had the opportunity to go to those places, or maybe you weren't fascinated with ancient architecture or ancient cultures? Maybe you had different kind of places you wanted to visit, and places that didn't really exist on this earth, or etc. So yeah, you're welcome to leave that in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next vlog.